I'm one of the volunteers here at the Lock 3 Museum. And right now we're watching the Algo Cape go through Lock 3. This lock was opened in 1932 along with the entire system. It's 859 feet long. And when the water level in the lock is reached, so the water to be the same as the water level in the stretch of the lock, then, or the next reach is the proper term. The doors at the bottom will be open. That yellow tower-like structure that you see just off to the right is that holds the lock arrestor cable. And as the boat comes into the lock, that cable goes down behind. The reason for it is that if for any reason the lock doors should burst open, that cable is strong enough to hold the ship within the lock, so it won't go flying out. Now this is the fourth canal that we've had connecting Lake Erie to Lake Ontario. Obviously ships can't go up or down Niagara Falls. And the first one was built by William Hamilton Merritt. It was completed in 1824, and it had wooden locks 110 feet in length. It was completed all the way through from Port Robinson to Port Colborne on Lake Erie in 1829 with the completion of the feeder canal. The next lock system, next canal, was 1845, 150 feet in length with limestone cut locks, or rather locks made out of cut limestone. The third canal, which you can actually sort of see a bit of a remnant of if you swing the camera over that way, it intersected just to the south of Lock 3 here, and that's the third system, and it dates from 1880. Again, it was cut limestone blocks, this time 270 feet in length. The current system is, as I said, it has only 8 locks, and it was completed in 1932 because the size of the ships was just getting much too big, and they say this is probably the last one there's going to be, but you never know. Ships are always getting bigger, and there's always a bit of talk about making what they're going to call a super canal, which will have, locks twice this size, and therefore ships will be built twice that size. Whether or not that'll ever happen, I don't know. We're now looking at the stern end of the Algo Cape as it's exiting Lock 3, and it is downbound towards Lake Ontario. You can also see the waterfall structures to the left. The locks are filled and emptied using only gravity, and that's the way it's been since the first canal was built in 1824. In the distance, you can see the flight locks just beyond the Glendale Lift Bridge. And just to give you an idea of the size of the Glendale Lift Bridge, if you look at and see the large circular structures on either end of the bridge, and then look on the canal property, or rather the museum property, right over there, you can see that is also one of the wheels in the top of the bridge for the cables. And interestingly enough, just next to it is a wooden, just a form showing the size of the first Welland Canal. And you can see when you put the two side by side that that canal is almost as long as this one is wide. I'm sure William Hamilton Merritt would have been quite shocked if he saw the size of the current Welland Canal. Saying 118 workers lost their lives in various accidents while building the canal. One in particular that was especially tragic was when one of the lock gates actually collapsed as it was being put into position. I just wanted to comment on how it's amazing the precision at which the pilots take ships through the canal. There's usually as much as, or rather as little as 5 feet on either side to work with. That's why you'll see several scrapes along the sides of the hulls of the ships. And it's not actually the captain of the ship who comes and pilots it through. They have a special canal pilot that will come on board, who's specially trained to navigate these tight areas. In the distance, you'll see the Homer Bridge, and above that is the Garden City Skyway. The Homer Bridge was built in 1932, completed in 1932, and the canal was. The Skyway was built in 1965, and that was so that the Queen Elizabeth Highway traffic could go over and not interrupt the flow of traffic, because it used to be backed up for miles and miles. The building behind me is the St. Catharines Lock 3 Museum. This is a museum that talks about the history of St. Catharines, particularly focusing on the canal, as William Hamilton Merritt was the founder of the canal. I'm going to ask you to swing around and watch and tape this. You can see the Homer Bridge opening. That was really the highlight. That was really the highlight of the sort of the crown jewel in the canal, is having that double jackknife bridge.
You guys? We like seeing that bridge going up.
Prior to 1964, when that bridge would go up, traffic would be backed up on the highway for miles and miles. And in fact, just to the east of us there was a restaurant that was always a popular spot to stop, and the owner ended up suing when the highway was put over top, and when the highway was rerouted, and they no longer went by his front door. So, all in the name of progress. There used to be a village there, the village of Homer. They were all but removed when the canal was built. Everything was expropriated. And it's starting to rain, so we best go inside.